Welcome to another fantastic episode of Ian's Super Fun Food Time. Today we're making Texas Roadhouse rolls and the amazing butter that goes along with them. In a half cup of water, you're going to want to add 4 teaspoons of active dry yeast and then a teaspoon of sugar, and that'll activate the yeast. Go ahead and give it a good mix, and once it's got a nice little whisk to it, you'll want to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes till it starts foaming on the top. In a bowl, add 3 tablespoons of room temperature butter, a half cup of sugar, and then I proceeded to mash it up a little bit, get it mixed in there before adding 2 eggs to the mix as well. Once the eggs are added, go ahead and beat it up really nicely, and then add 2 cups of milk to the batter. Then once you give that a good stir, add 2 teaspoons of salt into the mix, followed by the yeast. Give it a big old stir with your elbow blocking the camera before adding the flour, and you're going to add about 7 to 8 cups depending on your batter. So you're going to have to check it, and check the consistency of it, see if it's right. Go ahead and start mixing that really well. Hopefully you have a machine mixer and you don't have to do this by hand, because it really kills your arm doing this with a fork like I'm doing. Plop the dough down in a bowl that you've sprayed with oil, and then cover with a damp rag and let it rise till it's doubled in size. Kaden and I noticed that if you cut the dough out into little circle pieces and then use a little pizza cutter to cut them into little squares, you can get that perfect shape. Although ours were a little sloppy and rustic looking. I guess they call it rustic. Go ahead and set them on a pan sprayed with oil, that way they won't stick. And you'll want to repeat this step until you have a whole bunch of them, and then put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes until golden brown. Also brush it with a little bit of butter in the last minute. Speaking of butter, add a stick of butter to a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, not granulated sugar like I did because I was out, and then a 1/4 cup of honey and a teaspoon of cinnamon to make that amazing cinnamon honey butter that they hand you at the table. Also make sure that the butter is room temperature so it stirs nice and easy, and then you can easily transfer it into a nice little serving cup if you like. By now your rolls should be done and ready to come out of the oven. Look at those, delicious. There you have it, those Texas Roadhouse delicious rolls and cinnamon honey butter. Enjoy it and make some for your family and friends. This recipe makes like 50 of them, so be warned, you might want to have some Ziploc bags ready. They freeze really nicely and they of course taste delicious. I hope you enjoyed this week's Ian's Super Fun Food Time. I'll be back next week with more super fun foods.